Good morning.
Goeiemôre, kia ora.
Away. It's that time of the morning again. I think you should pull that curtain as well. Then I can change the camera but to you
Okay.
so that you get more in the picture. Because you like to be in the picture always, I know. All right, guys and girls, this morning we're talking all about the age of 65 and weird and wonderful stuff happens at that age.
And also, a lot of people have a lot of questions and worries about
What happens at 65? Except that people turn into prunes. They get all these wrinkles and...
Yeah, but not only that, we only immigrated when I was 45.
And I was 48.
47.
47.
And when you're that age, there's so much more things that you have to keep in mind when you immigrate, because you are so much closer to retirement.
Just good morning to everybody. Said good morning on all the channels, guys.
Hello, Charlie.
And somebody said Morena.
Morena, I forgot that one.
At 65, you basically, let's take a step back. If at age 55, you would have been eligible to retire in South Africa. Yep. But that's not the fact. In New Zealand, it's age 65. But the big thing is, can you retire at age 65 and would you be allowed to retire? You would probably be allowed if you can support yourself. But the thing is, we are a socialist country, so we're looking at handouts to the government, from the government as well. So we'll talk about the handouts from the government as well this morning. So we'll take that up a bit. If you are still way below 40, you've got more than enough time to prepare yourself for this big event at 65, and you need to prepare for this. It's important. You guys, you need money in the bank to be able to retire. But the nice thing as well is you do not need to retire.
No, they allow you to work. We've come across people that are in their 80s and they're still working, not because they have to, but because they want to. So you can work until whenever.
Yeah. I spoke to somebody in the week and he says his boss's father is 83. And this guy takes a truck every day and drives to Auckland to pick up stuff there and come back. And he also said it looks as if the working longer keeps them more alive.
And you know what is also different in New Zealand is there are so many options to volunteer, and a lot of older people tend to volunteer for stuff. You feel valuable when you do stuff like that. So there will always be something for you to do. You may not get paid for it, but it will keep you busy and it will just keep you. It's just something to live for, I think. So
big thing is, don't go and sit on the couch and
unless you want to.
Now call yourself old.
Unless you want to get old.
All right, guys. Who will qualify New Zealand? Or let me rather say New Zealand Super. You would have heard about this. This is their old age pension, or their pension that they pay you after the age of 65. So I'm not probably allowed to say the word old age pension. People, they're just more mature at 65, not old. What will you be, mature or old? At 65, you are allowed to have this New Zealand Super, but there's a few, requirements for you. You have to be a New Zealand citizen or a permanent resident or hold a residence visa class. So even if you're not a citizen at that specific stage, you are probably eligible for the Super at 65, but they've got a lot of other criteria as well that you have to meet at that.
So if you're a resident, you can get it.
That's what they say, a resident or residence class visa. So either permanent resident or just normal resident. But there is certain criteria. And if you I'll get to the criteria now, but if you do all these criteria, then you'll see the reasons what I've been talking about, that you probably would be a citizen at this stage now.
Yes.
Because that's a period of years and so forth.
Yeah.
They say you must be an ordinary citizen in New Zealand, the Cook Island, New or Tokelau when you apply. So that's what you have to be. Also, ordinary resident, sorry, ordinary resident. You have to live in New Zealand for at least 10 years since you turned 20. Okay.
What?
You have to live in New Zealand for at least 10 years since you've turned 20. That's just to make sure you have paid some tax in the country, I think. So, of these 10 years, must include 5 years since you turned 50. That's even more weird for you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so you won't do anything until age 55 because you have to do the 5 years after 50. But then you're only eligible after 65.
Okay, I think you are confusing people now. So
No,
maybe you shouldn't read it. Maybe you should just tell us how it works.
it's more to do with these people who've only arrived in New Zealand and then use New Zealand as a bumping place to go, say, for instance, to Australia or so.
Okay.
So you have to be in New Zealand for 10 years.
Okay.
You have to live here physically every day. The 10 years can be broken up with periods that you go overseas and stuff like that. But in all, it has to be 10 years. And 5 of these years have to be after the age of 55.
Okay.
Or 50. So between 50 and 65, which is 15 years, you only need to be here physically for 5 years.
Okay.
All right. So.
Okay, so if you immigrate later in life, it's actually to your benefit.
Technically, yes, and technically, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Never mind that.
All right. So, the New Zealand Super can also help you with help to pay for stuff like your rent, your board.
I know you get some money from the government.
But they're willing to even pay your mortgage if you are in that dire need.
Okay.
So they will help you pay rates. I can just read to you. They say including a rebate or a refund from your local council or postponing payments until you and your estate can pay. And it's just to give you a bit of a breather down there. And then they also help for repairs and maintenance to your property. And if that doesn't help, they can give you low-cost housing through the government.
Okay, but let's talk about the average person now. Me and you now.
All right. So we've arrived at age 47. You were 45, you said. Okay. You're probably still 45. Now, this is where this becomes interesting. Okay. And sorry, I have to revert back to the website a lot about this. They say the website say when we say have lived in New Zealand, we mean you were a resident in New Zealand, you permanently made your home in New Zealand, and you're physically present in New Zealand. Okay. So the new residence criteria going forward from 2024. So in 1 year's time, this will have changed. Still goes to say that you have, since you turned 20, you gradually increase. Sorry. The 10 years from your age 20 will now increase gradually from 10 years to 20 years. Okay, have you got that increase?
Yeah.
All right. So the 10 years that you have to be in New Zealand will now go from 10 years to 20 years, but not all at once. So for anybody still coming, this is also important to you, even to me, that's already here. So let's talk about us. We came here and I was 47, you 45, and we came, and my date of birth is between the 1st of July 1969 and the 30th of June 1971. So according to the New Zealand website, I have to be here 16 years before I qualify.
Okay.
All right.
So you will only get your superannuation from the age of?
No. Number of years you must have lived in New Zealand since you turned 20. Okay. So I was 47. Yeah, I've got this for the wife.
This is really boring.
That's just not boring. So 47 plus 16 gives me 63. All right. So at the age of 63, I qualify for pension, but I can only get it at 65. So I will get my pension at age 65.
Okay.
All right. The big thing is, will you be able to get your pension at age 65? That is the main question here. For people who were born people who were born after the 1st of July 1977 will have to do the full 20 years.
Okay.
So they will probably go over the age of 65 a small bit.
Okay.
So they were trying to get this through about 2 years ago. And at that stage, I would have had to be 67 before I would have been able to get my super. So
Yeah.
now I'll be able to get that at age 65. But you, who were born between 1st of July 71 and 73, you'll have to wait for 17 years, or you have to be in New Zealand for 17 years. So you'll probably be able to get it at 65 as well.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So
That's the short of the story.
okay. So what I think most people worry about is, will they be able to retire
Yeah.
in New Zealand? Will they be able to actually live on their monthly income?
Yeah.
What will they need to be able to
All right. Let's talk about will you be
retire
able to live on your
comfortably?
monthly income? Point one, it is important that you do have a monthly income. You are going to get, I'm going to tell you the figures now from government, but that'll be the next part. But you have to do something from your own side as well. Government does not give us too bad amounts of money currently, but I feel it's not enough.
Okay.
You can scrape by. You can scrape by. Let's call it what it is. You can scrape by if you do not have any outstanding mortgages.
Mm.
So if your house is fully paid, um, let's say, and it's not a too expensive suburb, and you're only getting the government income, you're just going to scrape by.
Okay.
Because food is expensive. You still got to pay some rates and taxes. You can still got to pay for your water. You still got to pay for your electricity. If you keep all of this into play, plus what the government's going to give you, which I'll give you now, then you will just scrape by. So, guys, you've got to do something for yourself. You've got to at least take about 10 to 15% of your income per month and put that away. That is basically the minimum.
Okay, so the question is, where do you put it away? What does KiwiSaver do for you when you retire?
KiwiSaver is a helpful way to do that. Government gives you $521 per month, or sorry, per year, if you do $20 per week in KiwiSaver, and most people do more than that in KiwiSaver. So the norm is that you do 3% and the employee gives 3%.
Okay, so what happens to your KiwiSaver when you retire? Do you get all that money?
Oh yeah, at age 65 you can get all the money and you can spend it on a new Holden and.
But I mean, you can do with the money whatever you want.
Oh, you can do whatever you want.
Or do you keep on
No.
saving in your KiwiSaver?
This is what's different from South Africa. In South Africa, you had to get a certain portion out and the rest had to give you a pension. The problem with KiwiSavers, and that's a big problem for me.
They give you everything.
They give you everything.
Okay, so it's up to you to make sure that you.
And I want to say, and sorry guys if I offend you this morning, I want to say at that age, 65, about 90% of people do not know really how to work with their money, because you've got to put this money away
for the rest
of your life.
Yes.
And the one big problem is you have no end date. You don't know what the last date will be that you will be alive. If you knew exactly what time you were going to die, you can take a calculator and work out exactly how much money you can use every month, and that'll be easy.
Yeah, but you don't.
You don't know. I mean, the current problem we have is that people is living way longer than they did in the past.
Yes.
If you are going to go to up to, let's say, 95, that's 30 years after age 65.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah.
That's 1/3 of your life that you would be on pension.
But I also read, if you turn 65, if you start to receive your superannuation at the age of 65, and you still continue to work and you still get paid for the work that you do, that does not have any influence on the money that you get.
No,
from the
you get your stuff at age 65 and you go on with your life.
Okay.
There was a lot of talk from Labour now that they wanted to change that. To do the pension means tested, which means they will check what have you got in and so forth. But as people were saying, they were paying tax for this.
You earned that.
Yeah, you earned that.
Okay, so if you can still work, if you want to, you can still work for 10 or 15
and let's
years.
face it, a lot of the employers will give you the chance to, I would say, call it semi-retire.
Yes, they do that. They do
Just remember one thing. Whatever you get from government is taxed as well.
Yes.
So I'm going to read some figures out to you guys now, but keep in mind you'll be taxed at your current tax rate at that stage.
Okay,
So the other thing is if you keep on working, I've seen guys very old working still on the island. That will just be a supplement to your
Yeah.
retirement at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
I think no one wants to be in a situation where you actually have to work after retirement age.
Hmm.
It's nice if you can still work, but it's really not
Yeah.
nice if it's something that you have to do when you're that age.
Especially if you're becoming sick now.
Yeah.
Now you've got to force yourself just to go to work every day, otherwise you can't eat tonight.
Yeah, it's a very bad situation to
Yeah.
be in. So I think the best thing is to do is, it doesn't matter if you come when you're 20 or if you come when you're 45 or if you come when you're 50. You have to bear in mind that you must be able to build yourself some
Yeah.
kind of retirement fund for when you have to retire.
Guys,
So,
it's important that you save money. Point one. And I'm not talking to immigrants. I'm not talking to Kiwis. It's important that you save money as soon as you arrive, because I know when we arrive, most probably most of you will be broke. We were.
yeah.
It's a heck of a lot of cost just to come here, and then you divide everything by 10 or 11. You have to save point one to buy your first house. You have to save hard and quick. I know that takes time out of you, but you have to save. What you can do is husband can work, and if the wife finds a job, that her whole salary should just go into. And I know it's not always possible. Forgive
And
me, I
I
know it's
know
not
it's
always possible.
hard, and I know you'll probably not have much of a life for 2 years,
Yeah.
but at least you'll be able to buy a house after that time, and then you can start living.
As soon as you buy your first house, I'm going to say reason why I say first house. The first house that you buy, you live in. That you'll probably need between 10 and 20% deposit. We've got a mortgage advisor who can help you with that. So just get hold of us regarding that. But as soon as you buy a first house, the repayments that you make towards the bank versus what you were paying as a rental is not that much different. It's not that much different. Yeah, it's a bit more. In about 5 years' time, the amount that you repay back to the bank, except in this crazy times of high interest now, but in about 5 years' time, the amount you pay back to the bank will be less than what you pay a rental at. And this is your own house. You can go and knock a hole in the wall if you really want to. It's your house. And it increases in value. In 5 years' time, that house would have least risen by 30 to 40% in value. All right. It's important that once you have this house on your name, do not go for a 30-year repayment term. Go for 20 years. You'll see the amount difference between that repayments. Not that much. It's really not that much. But you save such a lot of time, 10 years, and a lot of money by just repaying it earlier.
Okay.
When we started off our first mortgage, I started off by paying, and we'd be paying fortnightly. I started off by paying $50 per mortgage. I think we had 5 mortgages.
Okay.
So I cut my savings a bit because I was saving more money at that stage. I cut my savings. I started paying $50 per fortnight more. My bank, I'm with Westpac, allows me to do that. And that brought my mortgage down from 20 years down to about 15 years.
Okay.
And the other day, I increased it by another small amount. I think I could do another $30. And it brought my one mortgage down to 11 years.
You see, so it really makes it, you must just
And
think.
it's small amounts like this.
Yeah.
It's small amounts like this.
Yeah.
So,
because I think the question on everyone's lips is, will I ever be able to retire in New Zealand? And the answer is yes.
Yep.
It will take hard work and a lot of saving, but it will be all worth it. I think.
All worth it. I'll give you the figures now. Let's go to the figures that people can get more bit of an idea. All right, there's 2 different ways to retire: either single or as a couple. A couple doesn't mean you have to be legally married, but it means that 2 people who live together. As a single person, you'll get, and this is per fortnight, the amount of $1,076 per fortnight, and that's after your age 65. So 1076 per fortnight and 48 cents. This must still be taxed. Guys, remember tax has to come on that, and that will lower the amount. You can also get, if you're single and you live with somebody that's 18 years and older, they will pay you a small amount less, $990.
Okay, but let's just work on the
average
person.
person, yeah. As a couple, you will also get the amount of $817. That's before tax per fortnight per person.
Okay, so that's every second week
Uh,
that each one
will
will
get.
get that.
So that gives you.
Okay.
Let's talk about after tax. It's about $700. Let's say
Mm.
$350 per week
Yeah.
per person. What can you do with it? Can you buy food?
You can buy food.
How much will food cost for two people? Let's say today.
Well, it
Two hundred
depends on
dollars.
what you, yeah.
Let's say
Two,
we don't eat
250.
$2,000.
Yeah, say 200,
200.
250.
So there's still some money left over for power and those type of things. So
Yeah. And remember that you will get discount on you get like a golden card or
yeah,
something, and that gives you quite a lot of perks.
that gives you a heck of a
Yeah.
lot of perks. I think I had the perks up here somewhere as
Yeah,
well.
doesn't matter.
So getting back to the amount that you need for a retirement, you really need quite a few dollars just to get through life, because that money you can either use it and then or let me say you can use your savings and then deplete that, which is not a good idea, or you can just live off the interest from that.
Yeah. So I think, I know this sounds like impossible probably, but the best thing to do is to get a second mortgage to give you some extra income when you retire.
On a second mortgage, it doesn't mean go and borrow more money on your first house. Get a second house.
Yeah.
That's quite important. That's really important. Rentals down here is about $750 a week. Now that's about the average currently in. I'm just talking Tauranga. It looks like that's about $750 or higher in Auckland and so forth. So if you put another $750 per week into that, you're adding $1,500 per fortnight on top of $1,600. Now you're getting up to about three odd grand per fortnight. That's more livable.
Yeah.
That's more livable.
So I think you must have a contingency plan for when you want to retire. And I know it sounds impossible, but it's actually not that impossible.
Yeah. So I just want to put something. I saw Katie Sassenberg had a question. I'll answer that question now. It's a very, very good question. I just want to put something out there for the gold card. The gold card gives you free and cheaper public transport, as well as discounts on some council services, they say. There's a heck of a lot of stuff that the gold card actually gives you.
I know that you can
right
also,
to.
I know at Countdown you get discount on a Wednesday if you go on a Wednesday.
And then you got this in Tauranga, you've got what they call the Citizens Club. You can eat a meal there. I think it's for, please don't quote me, I think it's for $20 if you've got your gold card. And presumably it's a rather decent meal per day. So it's a big meal plus pudding and everything else. So that's one way to go around it, especially if you're single. I mean, it's difficult to cook for one person.
Yeah.
So
the thing about retiring in New Zealand, and that is one of the main reasons that we decided to immigrate, is that you will still have some kind of freedom when you're older. You will be able to take your little stroller, which you will get from the government if you can't walk anymore. And you will be able to still go to the shops. You will be able to walk down the roads without worrying, get on a bus without feeling stressed or afraid. So that's the thing. It is I think the way that you will be living is just better. Even if you don't have money, you will still be free to live at least.
And I want to put this out there. Do not rely on KiwiSaver only. Do not rely on KiwiSaver only to be enough.
It won't be enough.
We have other problems. We have other solutions. Let me put it, the solutions or savings ways that you can put more money away. It's not only in KiwiSaver. You gotta have a second house somewhere. I know for some people this is like crazy. You just can't even think about buying your first house. I've seen this year, and I'm just talking about this last 2 months, I've seen more people who have thought they will never get into their first house go into their first homes. That
If
was
you put
absolutely
your
wonderful.
mind to it, I know of
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple that arrived 9 months ago and they just bought a house.
Yeah.
So it is just, you have to, you'll have to cut back on a few things just to save, but you will be able to do it.
Yeah. The question that Katie Sassenberg was asking, she was asking, if you were paying life insurance and the premiums go up as you get older, how do you do once you reach the age of 65 or super and you can't work anymore? Yeah, I know you've been paying your whole life, but at that stage, probably the risk has disappeared. You don't owe any money on your house anymore. So you don't need that large amount of life cover. But what I do with a lot of my clients, once they reach the age of 65 or older, I go and sit down with them and we sit down with their kids. Most of these people do not have large inheritance for their kids, but they've got good life covers. So I will take the life cover, I'll swing it over to the kid's name. The kids will be the owners of the life cover, and the parent will just be the person insured. And the kids will continue and pay the life cover. And once the parent die, this will be the inheritance for the kids.
Okay.
I've done this with a heap of people in South Africa already, and I haven't got any clients that's really gone over 65 in New Zealand. So, but as soon as that happens in New Zealand, I'll sit down and we'll have that discussion with them and the kids, because we all want to leave a legacy for our kids. We all want to give something or some or another, and it's normally money value or diamond rings or something that's worth something to our kids. And if you can't afford it at that stage, why not let the kid pay for your life insurance and they can get the money?
Yeah.
So, all right, we've got another 3 minutes. Let's see.
Yeah. What other alternatives are there to KiwiSaver and additional mortgage? That's the question.
What other alternatives to KiwiSaver? I use very much the same as in South Africa. You had the unit trust. I use a wealth builder here. Money goes into that, buys shares, and we've got a fund manager. The fund manager runs that. He does his best to have a positive return year on year. The markets have been really crappy out there. Myself, I am into that as well. I just feel I need as many portions of, how can I say, portions of or pockets of savings for going forward until my age 65 at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I think you probably want to have the security of a few dollars in the bank when you retire. You don't want to have an empty bank account when you retire.
no, the problem is you won't be able to afford it to retire
No.
at that stage if you've got an empty bank account.
So you'll have to save. That is one of the things. If you've been in New Zealand if you start working in New Zealand, it will probably be easier for you to retire one day because you've still got a lot of time to save up in your KiwiSaver as well as the other things. But if you arrived in New Zealand at a later age, then you'll really have to get to work very hard and save very hard to be able to retire comfortably. That's just
my main thing is, why did we come to New Zealand?
Yes.
I came here to be able, and sorry about this, guys, to be able to retire safely.
Yes.
All right. I knew at that stage, I knew exactly how much money the government was going to give me. I knew it wasn't a ton of money. And I knew I had to work a few years before they will even consider me for this.
Yeah.
I came here to retire safely.
Yes.
I came here to be able to get out of my own house, not live behind bars. There's a lot of reasons more than just monetary or money value that made me come to New Zealand. And all of these have either to do with my safety or to the fact that the government will rather look after me after my age 65.
Yeah.
They even supply these little electric cars.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go dicing people with this.
So I think probably for you to have a plan, or if I can now think if I was alone, what my plan would have been is just to have a house, even if it's a small one, that's paid off, that you don't owe any mortgage on. And then you will be able to live on your superannuation that you will receive from the government. So even if you don't have money to travel or whatever,
scarcely. It's going to be...
Yeah, but you will be able to live.
You will be able to live.
you won't be hungry.
No, but you won't be able to go and buy crayfish
No,
and
no,
all
no.
those nice
You're not
stuff.
going to live.
No, you're not going to live wealthy. You're going to live
No.
poorly. But
But
you'll be able
yeah.
to just live.
Yeah. So the plan should be to have a paid off mortgage.
Yep.
To either have a lot of savings in the bank, or to have a second mortgage property that you can rent out as extra income for when you
something
retire.
at that stage must also
Yeah.
be unmortgaged.
So that should be your plan for
Yep.
you, because then you can use your superannuation for your food and stuff, and you can live comfortably and still travel and still do a lot of nice things with the money that you've saved.
The nice thing as well is, if you've come to that point, we only get the superannuation at age 65, and you can't work anymore. I would strongly suggest to keep on working, because I'm going to keep on working until I drop down. Probably
65 is actually
it's
still
actually
so young.
Yeah. 65 in South Africa was old.
Yeah, but
let's
I
be
think
frank
times
about
changed
it. No.
Also.
That's my feeling. 65 was old in South Africa, but 65 years is as if the people just.
You must see the
they
people
just
in
reach that maturity age.
In the area that we live, they are all
you know what?
above 70.
You know what? These people want to go to work.
Okay.
We got to say goodbye. All right, guys, that was lovely. See you next week, same time, same place.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. See you all. Bye-bye.